What is the worst thing about hip-hop? I'm gonna talk about the worst thing, at least what I think it is, and probably the second worst thing too, and what I think we can do to them to make them the best things about hip-hop. Coming right up. In January, I tried to move to Atlanta from Westchester, Pennsylvania, and it really didn't go well. I'm now living at my mom's, which is like, dude, if I can keep growing my YouTube channel and make all this content, I mean, until I get back to Westchester, where I finished 2018, you can look at things like living at your mom's as L's and dwell on them and waste your time doing that, or you can own the fuck out of them and be like, look, bitch, this is fucking me. It's temporary. This is about progress and not perfection. And besides, are those two things not one and the same? Like, let's be honest. In this video, I want to talk about a few things from a book I got specifically to learn more about African American culture by a man who's very well known by so many rappers, Charlemagne the God. It's called Black Privilege, and it's about how opportunity comes to people who create it for themselves. Like I say in my fucking insane mega rant on the music industry from a week and a half ago, which I'll link in the description. Shit, no matter what color you are, just for your own sake of self-education, do we not owe it to ourselves to study the lives of the most successful black people? And I'm asking that because that's one of the things he talks about in the book. But he also says something else that fucking really caught my attention. It's a problem I've personally always had with hip-hop, but never noticed it. And it's the biggest problem about it. It is completely insane. I'm gonna talk about that in just a second. If anyone wants to get the book, by the way, I'll drop a link in the description. So the biggest problem in hip-hop is, as he states in the book, exploring people and ideas outside your comfort zone is one area where hip-hop has been unfortunately very weak. As the culture, we don't allow ourselves a chance to grow. Something doesn't look like us or sound like us, we have a tendency to dismiss it offhand. You guys can see why this is a problem, right? The second I heard it, I was like, this is bullshit. It's such bullshit, in fact, that I'm gonna make a video about it. Isn't it important to grow? Have you considered all the people and all the ideas and all the beliefs held back by this enormous culture, this pillar of influence created by a minority of all things? That alone is very fucking impressive about hip-hop. Why are we dealing with this mindset of if it doesn't look like or sound like us, it's fucked up and we don't like it? Everything hip-hop doesn't like about itself can be solved with just one word. Grow. Learn to grow. Learn to branch out and do new things and try to think about things and look at them in ways you didn't before, which is the complete opposite of the problem I just mentioned. Isn't thinking differently what hip hop is about? Isn't hip hop about expression? If it is, what are we all never gonna change and grow and do things that are different for us? How the fuck does that work? Have we formed this incredible machine of change only to forget this whole time that the idea of change being bad alone is its one major flaw? At the same time, that alone is the craziest part. Hip-hop has to be where it is because of all the shit that it says no to. Napoleon Hill says that knowing what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. But if hip-hop is this rebellious cloud of self-expression, like, isn't that what got hip-hop where it's at? Saying no to a lot of things but saying yes to another? Where is the clarity? What does hip-hop want? I am one citizen, last time I checked, I don't think it's 2 or 3, of the United States, right? I have a license and all this other shit. And even if I didn't, you'd know I'd be a human being, right? I mean, other robots of my format probably come from China or something. But there's a difference between what people want and what people want to want. And if I had to guess, maybe just my own personal opinion, is that hip-hop wants to grow because of all the shit I just mentioned, and maybe even more that I haven't even thought of or learned about yet. But it doesn't just want to grow. It wants to grow, but it doesn't want to grow, because that requires saying, okay, let's see. You are different. You are unlike us. You don't sound like us. You don't look like us. But you know what? We'll give you a chance. I think if hip-hop gave that one chance, it would be so much more comfortable with itself. If it gave 2 chances, even if the chances were blown, the upside, I think, is more than worth it. Things do benefit from disorder. And if that weren't true, I feel like I'd be dead. We don't need to be scared of this shit, do we? What are we scared of? Ourselves? I don't even know. That's why I buy books like this one, and more. Now, there's something in my last video. It's about trust, authenticity, and honesty when building an audience. I forgot to mention that I learned from the book, but it's also a huge problem with hip-hop that I saw a lot of evidence of in Atlanta in just a 3 or 4 week period of time. It's also not not just a problem with hip-hop. It seems to be a huge problem within the entire music industry. If you have watched the last 4 insight videos I dropped from my music industry mega rant / apology to why I left Atlanta, to the GOAT not being a big enough goal in one's career as a musician, to the video about trust, authenticity, and honesty when building an audience, you might notice how much overlap there is in topics between those 4 and this video. If you haven't seen them, I'll drop links in the description. Every time you get on this microphone, you have a fundamental choice. You're either going to be one of the industry or one of the people. If you're one of the people, you're going to give your honest opinion. This is how you know Charlemagne the God wrote this shit. Of the situations instead of the politically correct stance. When you're one of the people, you ask the questions that the fans want to hear instead of the talking points that in my opinion, fucking dumbass publicists prefer you stick to. If you choose to be of the industry, you will always support the narrative that the record label is trying to push. When you're of the industry, you'll hype every album like it's a masterpiece, even if you couldn't make it past the first track. Most jocks end up choosing the industry. They want to be invited to the listening sessions, the album release parties, the label exec's birthday party, the bathrooms of fancy restaurants. They can't be of the people because they think if they ask too many uncomfortable questions, then the publicist won't bring them A-list artists anymore, so they play it safe.
Are you serious?
The jocks of the industry. These are the people we're talking about. Playing it safe. Playing it safe. These are the consequences.
Playing it safe.
Of the fear.
Playing it safe.
That comes with not understanding the power of the people and their free choice in the market. I remember going to this summer camp, and I was a counselor in training the last summer that I went there. You know who I was being a counselor in training for? 12-year-old boys. Fucking 12-year-old kids. And I liked spending time with those 12-year-olds more than I did with the other 17-year-old CITs. Like, by a fucking disgusting landslide. You know why? It's because, it says on my Tinder profile, I might be 22, but I'm really like 8. I just relate more to 12-year-olds than 17-year-olds. Everything is so new and wonderful and different and interesting to me. But it's like when I look at something, I feel like I still know nothing about it, even if I know everything about it. But it all makes me want to know more. I'm constantly looking to grow. It's a very childlike mentality, not the bad things about children. Another childlike mentality is I'm right and you're wrong. And part of growing is getting out of that mindset. Is it not? I still deal with that mindset. So I guess I do deal with every side of the childlike mentality, but still, I feel like everyone does and will to some degree forever. Nobody's perfect, but are you going to be part of that authority? Are you going to be for the other 17-year-old CITs? Or are you going to be one for the campers? The reasons you're even there in the first place. You're not here to work with other artists. You're here for the climb. You're here for the journey of changing yourself while you change the world around you. I was so stupid back then, but that was a choice I so
viciously do not regret making.
So I have to lie about my honest fucking feelings? If something is trash, why not say it's trash? What matters more, honesty or fear? A lot of rappers preach things like this too, and they also live them. They really will tell you these things. History shows it. But a lot of
bottom feeders
will say one thing and do the other. And again, I've done shit like this too, but judging someone based on their past, especially when you look at how they are now, is, I don't know, I feel like it's a waste of time. But what does that tell you about a person? Doing one thing and then saying another. Personally, I don't give a fuck about the execs. I don't give a fuck about the narrative any record label's trying to push. I think it's fucking bullshit. I don't give a fuck about hyping up another artist's album or even listening to it. This isn't about the industry. It's about the people. This isn't about the listening sessions, the album release parties, the label exec's birthday party, or the bathrooms of fancy restaurants that you're scared you won't be able to go to. As an artist, this is about the people. We are entering a time of me and my fans. It's all battles and alliances of niches, and I choose to support who I choose to support. And if you don't fucking like that, I can respect it. But please do not be a dick about it. I mean, me personally, because every war nowadays is really just kind of fought without bullets if you think about it. Unless, you know, it's a military war or whatever. I have love for you at the end of the day whether you support me or not. If I think your music fucking sucks, that shouldn't matter as much as the fact, in my opinion, that I still respect and appreciate you as a person, right? Isn't it important to separate the art from the person just because the art is the thought child of the person? Isn't it important to learn how to do that for yourself? Isn't it important to grow? Is this the worst thing about hip-hop? Is late 2019 not a good time to change it? What the fuck? Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Also, let me know if you guys have any ideas you want me to talk about in future videos. and I'll give you a shout out if and when I use them. If you have any questions, please feel free to hit me up. There are links at the bottom of the description of all my social media. Also at the bottom of the description, there are links to my new production kits where you can find all the hardware and software that I use to make music and these videos. If you buy any, I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos for you guys. I made all the beats in this video. If you want to use them, you can find links to each one in the description or at samuel.earth/beats. Make sure to leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already. If you could turn on that little bell to receive a notification every time I drop a new video, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me everywhere, and I'll see you then.